What's going on, everyone? So, Dennis Smith Jr. recently talked about how he could really help a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, and I actually think he's right? He has the athleticism, right? He has that defense, right? He has what the Lakers need, particularly in a backup role. Now, the Lakers can't just sign Dennis Smith Jr. right now, but I've talked about, Dennis Smith Jr., Markelle Fultz, Elfrid Payton, like these guys, Devontae Graham, who they recently brought into their G League, right? Guys like that are veterans that have been there, done that can give you what the Lakers need in that reserved backup role at the guard position. Because chances are, if the Lakers pull off any type of trade, they're probably going to have a need to fill a Ross spot or two, and most likely at the guard position, right? Because Gabe Vincent, D'Angelo Russell, two of the main guys that have been heavily linked at being sent out in these various trades. So if the Lakers do end up making these moves and end up getting, we'll just use the Wizards trade, for example. Let's say you do get the full Wizards trade. Malcolm Brogdon, Kyle Kuzma, Jonas Valanciunas. Well, that's great. You got Malcolm Brogdon as your starter, Austin Reeves, Kyle Kuzma, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. But you still need a backup point guard. And so a guy like a Dennis Smith Jr., I really do think could come in, plug in, and play that role. He's still only 27 years old, so he's still young. He's, again, hyper athletic. He doesn't have the size that like a Markelle Fultz or an Elfrid Payton, talking about guys that are like 6'4", in that range, where Dennis Smith Jr., he's like 6'2". Even his wingspan, he only has a 6'3" wingspan. So, usually you'll hear guys like, oh, he's 6'2", but he has like a 6'7" wingspan or something crazy like that, right? No, his wingspan is just slightly higher than what his actual height is. But that's something that he kind of makes up for with this tenacity, his athleticism, and particularly on the defense side. I really like him in the idea of like that point of attack, kind of like what we need Gabe Vincent to be in that point of attack role, but giving you that athleticism, right? He's very similar in size to Gabe Vincent, but he's just much more athletic, much more physical, right? And he just has the bounce to him that, Gabe Vincent just doesn't have. So I do like the idea of like, hey, we need to fill in a spot, roster spot open, bringing in a Dennis Smith Jr. Now, I'm actually a little surprised he didn't sign with anybody because he actually had a very good season last year for Brooklyn. So I was surprised that no one picked him up because he's not going to be a $20 million a year guy. You're looking at him as a vet minimum. He's going to be so low risk, high reward. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you can even sign him to a non-guaranteed. He just wants to play in the league, right? Now, he did recently sign in the G League, but obviously all those guys, even like Devontae Graham, sign with the Lakers G League. If he ends up getting a call like, hey, we want to bring you in, guess what? He's on the first thing smoking to go get that and end up with another team. But what did he do last year? Well, let's dive into it a little bit. So, with Brooklyn, 56 games, he started 2. He averaged 19 minutes a game, 18.9 to be exact, only 6 field goal attempts per game. He shot 43.5% from the field. He shot only 30% from 3. He is a career 30% three-point shooter. Guy that doesn't give you a lot of threes, but he also doesn't take a bunch. Right? Last year, he took 1.9. He was 2.8 for his career. But on 4.1 attempts from two-point range, he did shoot 50.2%. He had an EFG of 48.2%. Shot 74% from the foul line on just 1 attempt. Rebounding, he gave 3 rebounds, 4 assists, or just under. He's a career 4 assist and 3 rebound guy, so right at his average. 1.2 steals, half a block, and 6.6 points. So he basically gave you 6, 3, and 4 with 1.2 steals in just 19 minutes of action. Like, that would be fine. That'd be great for the Lakers, right? Just a guy that come in. Look, I've talked about it even with Gabe Vincent. Like, no one's asking Gabe Vincent to go and be a 15 to 20 point a game guy, right? It'd be nice. I love it, right? But you're just looking for him to be in that like 6 to, on a great night, 12 range. Can he knock down 2 threes a game, maybe give you a bucket or 2 or a couple free throws, right? Just through the flow of the offense, as the backdoor cutter or something like that, kind of plug in, perfect. That's all you're looking for him to do. You're not asking him to come in and play this monster role, knock down the open 3. Dennis Smith Jr., right? I think can give you a lot of those same things. But he's also better at beating guys off the dribble, getting to the basket, applying rim pressure, right? He just does things that Gabe Vincent doesn't do. Now, Gabe Vincent is shooting excellent. He's shooting over 43% the last 10, 11 games or so. But career-wise, he's not this lights-out three-point shooter. Can Dennis Smith Jr. kind of get to 34%, 35%, somewhere around that range, especially slotted alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? You're looking for him in the backup role. You're only looking for him to play 15, maybe 20 minutes a game, if that, especially if you have a Malcolm Brogdon or a Bruce Brown or, any of these other centers. If you get this other guy and you just kind of have a need, or if Austin Reeves, which I really don't want Austin Reeves at the point guard. I mean, if you watch the most recent game against the Pistons, you know why you don't want Austin Reeves as your point guard. And it's something that I've talked about heavily all last season, all this season. And for whatever reason, everyone keeps trying to make Austin Reeves a point guard. He's not a point guard. Right? So if you can get that point guard and move Reeves to the 2, which is what he actually is, then now you're just in a much better place. You can have a guy like a Dennis Smith Jr. kind of come in, slot in, and you'll be fine, right? Again, you're not looking for him to come in and play 40 minutes a game. He's not going to get a bunch of field goals. He's not going to be shooting 7 threes a game or anything crazy like that, right? You're asking him to come in, play consistent defense, get after it, hustle, chase down loose balls, do the dirty work, rebound. You're asking him to come in and be that hustle guy, right? You need that energy and effort. One of the big things that the Lakers, constantly raise awareness to is the lack of effort, athleticism, and consistency. A guy like a Dennis Smith Jr., I do think gives you all those things. I do think that there is an argument to be made, though, however, for Markelle Fultz, as well as especially in Elfrid Payton. If Elfrid Payton can be what we saw him be with the Pelicans, that, watch out, right? Because that was very impressive. But even Markelle Fultz, again, gives you a lot of the same things as a Dennis Smith Jr., but he gives you just more size. Still gives you that physicality, still gives you that athleticism, can operate in the mid-range, doesn't shoot a lot of threes, but just a better mid-range shooter, as well as getting to the basket and being a rim pressure. But like I mentioned, with all these guys, they're not going to be a primary focus, right? Like a Markelle Fultz, Dennis Smith Jr., these guys, lottery picks that are considered busts or looked at as busts because they were expected to play a primary role. Right, they were looked at to be especially in the case of a Markelle Fultz, he was looked at to be the guy coming out of Washington. He's the guy. Right, this is the guy that you could build your franchise around. That could be your piece. That your starting point guard for the next 20 years, and you're winning multiple championships. And he just never was able to do that. Supposedly he has some nerves issues, and he's been dealing with some injuries. Supposedly that's why he hasn't signed to a contract. Because kind of like Markelle Fultz, again, another guy that had a really good season. But also it's kind of hard when most of these teams already have their guards worked out, or they're developing guys. Right, so it's do we really want to bring in a 27-year-old that's just going to take minutes away from our 22-year-old that's going to stink up the place, and we're trying to tank and all that stuff. And then, again, how many teams actually need a point guard, need even that backup role, right? So, a team like the Lakers, that very likely is exactly what they're going to need. They're going to be one of the few teams, assuming that they pull off the trades that they're expected to pull off, they're going to be one of the very few teams that you're looking to have them go and, acquire a guard to kind of come in on the cheap end. Like I said, going to be so low risk, high reward that I do think that they come and make an impact. So, when Dennis Smith Jr. talks about hey, I really do believe that, with my energy, my effort, doing the dirty work, playing defense, right? He understands his role. He understands what he needs to do in order to stay and potentially make a roster. And I think that there's a lot of value in that, right? Because you get a lot of guys that, they got to get a bit of that humble pie. Well, Dennis Smith Jr. is a guy that got that humble pie and is just trying to find his place. He's just trying to find a home, right? He's trying to find a spot, stop being this journeyman all over the place. And I do think a team like the Lakers could potentially be that spot for him as, your backup or maybe even your third reserve guard that on any given night can step up or be that reserve worst case scenario. Again, you're paying him a vet minimum, right? You're not worst case scenario. If he's your 15th man, you're okay. It's not the end of the world. You'll survive. But if he can come in and he really can carve out that role and really do give you that just energy and effort and defense and point of attack. And, again, he averaged 1.2 steals in a limited minutes, limited role because he was so aggressive. And he had some actually, like, very good games with Brooklyn last season, which is why, like, even, like, Brooklyn fans were like, why didn't they bring him back, right? Because it was really odd. But I think if the Lakers, again, assuming that they pull off some type of trade and, you need that spot, if the Lakers were to bring in Dennis Smith Jr., I'd be excited. I'd be all for that because I do think he's a guy that can really have an impact, really kind of just play the role that you need. Again, you're only looking for him to play 15 to 20 minutes at most. On the occasional night, yeah, sure, hey, buddy, we might need you to play 30 minutes tonight. But for the most part, especially come playoff time and stuff like that, you're just looking for him to kind of play spot minutes here and there and just give you the most effort and energy possible. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Phil, what are your thoughts? Do you think that, yes, go get it, Dennis Smith Jr.? Do you like the idea and think that he can kind of provide what the Lakers would need in a backup role if the Lakers would pull off a trade? Do you think no, stay as far away from him as possible? Go get an Alfred Payton or a Markelle Fultz or something like that, or go trade for a backup guy, whatever. Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.